What's going on, guys? I'm Stimaze. And throughout the 21 years of the Pokemon anime, we have witnessed Ash Ketchum have ownership over 70 Pokemon, which all of them have their own unique personalities, strengths, weaknesses, and strategies in battle. However, with such a large amount of Pokemon, it's no surprise that we forget some of the Pokemon Ash had owned, simply because they didn't get enough screen time, or because when they were on screen, they were nothing special compared to the other Pokemon Ash owned, leaving them being pretty forgettable. Plus, you know, as I said, this anime has been going on for 21 years, so it's not like we can remember every single detail, even if we've watched all 1000 plus episodes, which I've done exactly that. But anyway, yeah, as you can probably guess already, I've decided for today's video that I want to go over the top 10 most forgettable Pokemon owned by Ash Ketchum. Please bear in mind though, that this list of Pokemon will be based on my opinions, so I'd like you to respect mine, and I shall respect yours in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your personal list, if you can actually remember them. I had to look up all of Ash's Pokemon for this list to remind myself of those who I forgot. Obviously. With that intro now said though, let's not waste any more time and jump right into this list. Number 10. Lapras. I'm not gonna lie, the Orange Island season of the Pokemon anime is pretty forgettable overall, but that's to be expected, seeming as it was essentially all filler before Ash could travel to Johto, and I bet that's even the reason why so many people forget Ash won the Orange Island League. But even if you do or do not remember that win, the win does not count still, clearly seeming as he's still traveling to this day. But yeah, Lapras, it was just there as a right Pokemon. I cannot think of any worthy highlights this Pokemon had outside of reuniting with its mother and even its return episode in Johto, which I even had to remind myself of those highlights for this video. So yeah, clearly I just found Lapras to be pretty forgettable. But at least compared to other Pokemon on this list, Lapras is at least more memorable once you actually remember it. Number 9. Tauros. Much like Lapras was, I bet many of you are thinking this is a strange choice, but please stick with me. Regardless of the occasional times we get shown the 30 Tauros Stampede gag, what do you remember Tauros for? Any memorable moment? I'll give you 5 seconds to think. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I certainly cannot think of anything whatsoever. I mean, don't get me wrong, this Pokemon is an overall decent Pokemon I guess, but it just didn't have any memorable moments outside of that occasional gag when Ash returns to Kanto for like one episode. At least the gag is funny though. I mean, to me at least. But clearly, that gag still isn't enough to make me remember these Pokemon, alongside Ash's memorable ones, such as Infernape, or Charizard, or whatever memorable Pokemon you think Ash owns. Number 8. Kingler. Much like Tauros and maybe even Lapras in a way, we only remember this Pokemon for one thing, which the only reason why we remember Kingler is simply because of its superb, yet also ridiculous plot armor performance in the Indigo League. Outside of that, come on, let's not lie to ourselves. We just have a crab that unfortunately got barely any screen time, as Ash left Krabby at Professor Oak's lab for such a long time, and even after the Indigo League, Ash still seemed to prefer Squirtle as his water type, as he never really called for Kingler again. The only time where Ash did call it back for a battle was for the World Cup in the Johto series. That's it. Sure, when rewatching that World Cup battle, it was kinda nice, but it's just nothing as memorable as its debut battle. And because they barely got any screen time overall as a character anyway, we just forget that World Cup battle existed, much like we forgot Kingler. Oh well, you were very cool in your very few moments anyway. Straying away from Pokemon that became popular thanks to one moment, this list can now truly begin, as these Pokemon are definitely way more forgettable than them, even though we remove those popular moments too. So just for this number 7 spot, I want to talk about Unpheasant. Unpheasant to me is like the writers took Pidgeot's boring personality, placed it onto this bird when it was a Pidove and Tranquil, and then they realized how stale that character actually is, but they decided not to give this Pokemon any screen time until they came up with the idea to give it development by making it have a battle against Skylar's Unpheasant in her gym battle, this being the episode in which it evolved. But then, the writers came to the realization once again that they have nothing else to do with this bird whatsoever. So they put it back on the back stall, hoping people would forget about it, which definitely worked. Obviously that's not what the writers did, but it might as well be if you think about it. Sure, we could end up remembering Unpheasant because, you know, it's a regional bird, which Ash always catches regional birds, but still, as you could see from my statement, its actual screen time is so lackluster that we just forget, or I at least, forget about Unpheasant. Next up, we have another Unova Pokemon, and that is Palpitoad. Okay, why on earth did Ash catch this Pokemon? He already had a water type in Unova, and Ash only used Palpitoad for like 2 battles anyway that went by super quick, but you forget they existed anyway. So, there was no point for Palpitoad. He was just there, never being used, like, what? The only reason why Palpitoad is only number 6 on this list as well is simply because I only remember this Pokemon for being so random of a capture when somebody at least mentions his name. As, you know, he's still pretty forgettable outside of being a random capture. So, yeah. Let's just move on, as I literally have nothing else I could possibly say for this Pokemon. The Advanced Generation series is pretty forgotten in the Pokemon community. Why that is because everybody instead remembers the original series for being the first series, the Diamond Pearl and XY series for being the best, at least for the majority of the fanbase, as of course you could like another series as the best, Black and White for being the worst series, although I do like it, and finally, they remember Sun and Moon because, you know, it's currently airing, which just leaves Advanced Generation unfortunately being the forgotten series. But one thing I can say I found pretty forgettable about this series is Torkoal. Firstly, this poor Pokemon barely got any wins outside of Team Rocket battles, if it actually battled against Team Rocket. I believe just 1 or 2 wins in total, whereas it then lost in every single other battle it had in the series, which doesn't really do it much justice for development, and of course, leave any memorable battles. I don't even remember the battles it won. Alongside taking many L's in battles though, this Pokemon's personality was just... I mean, it's definitely a unique personality compared to all of Ash's other Pokemon, but I definitely tried to forget about it, and I succeeded. Finally, if we were just to compare Torkoal to the other Fire-type Pokemon Ash owns, yeah, it's definitely nowhere near as special as any of them. So, I just forget it's in Ash's Fire-type arsenal, while I fanboy over the special Fire-types. I'm so sorry, Torkoal. Number 4, Baldor. Thanks to Ash catching a total of 9 Pokemon in the Black and White series, it's no surprise that we have another Unova Pokemon on this list. It was just very hard for the series to give equal screen time to each Pokemon. But then again, they shouldn't have allowed Ash to capture more than 6 Pokemon. But yeah, Baldor is a great example of a Pokemon that got very little screen time. After researching for this Pokemon, I remembered the awesome battle I had against Clay's Excadrill. But that's legit one of the only few moments this Pokemon ever gets to shine. It just sits back and does what it does best for the rest of the series, which is being a rock, which rocks don't move or do anything. Talking about rocks too, back then this was actually Ash's first rock type Pokemon, but thanks to Ash capturing a Rockruff and evolving it into a rare Lycanroc form known as Dusk Lycanroc in the Sun and Moon series, and even taking so many wins in battles, Lycanroc now overshadows this Pokemon, this being the only rock type Pokemon we remember Ash owning, which is kinda sad. Well, actually I love Lycanroc. I'm glad he's getting all the love and attention he deserves. And I do understand that it can be quite hard to give Baldor a personality, seeing as it's a, you know, Baldor. Not a dog, which you can give a likable personality to. Oh my god, I just got the pun behind Baldor's name. Wow, I'm sure late to that party. But regardless of that, yeah, just overall, Baldor is nothing unique of a Pokemon. And again, Black and White had so many Pokemon, which is why ultimately, I forget Baldor. I'm sorry. Number 3, Glalie. I don't even know where to begin when talking about this Pokemon. I guess I'll just give its backstory. So, apparently Ash caught it as a Snorunt before his 8th gym battle, and then it, evolved into Glalie after the gym battle, and it, apparently had a few battles in the league, and then, oh, that's it. Well, if we want to count its cameo appearance in the Diamond and Pearl series. Oof. Just judging by my voice though, you should be able to tell that I literally remembered none of that. I was just looking at his Bulbapedia page. I mean, it does say here too that Ash caught it before the 8th gym battle too, so that makes a lot of sense of why it would be forgettable to me, as that's towards the end of the Hoenn arc. Plus, as I said for Torkoal, many fans forget about the Advanced Generation series too, due to other series overshadowing it. So, that's another reason for me having a brain freeze, aka forgetting Glalie. Man, I'm not gonna lie though, I'm pretty inspired to rewatch the Advanced Generation series now, just to give it the love and attention it deserves. Overall though, yeah, I guess that wraps it up for Glalie. And if you forgot he existed much like me, well, you're welcome. And I'm sorry to any secret Glalie lovers out there that knew of his existence. Well, I did at one point, but, you know, I forgot. But anyway, yeah, I'm sorry if you love Glalie. Number 2, Primate. Ah, yes, this monkey. If you didn't know, this Pokemon was only shown on screen for 2 episodes. Which towards the 2nd episode, Ash gave away his Primate so it could train in Pokemon boxing. And ever since then, we've never seen this Pokemon return ever, unless there's a quick cameo in a Japanese opening. But that doesn't count, and it still makes the Pokemon pretty forgettable, as when I saw those cameos, I always said to myself, oh yeah, that Pokemon exists. I'm not gonna lie, when rewatching the Primate episodes, they were pretty funny, but with him only being on screen for 2 episodes, it just makes you forget about the poor Pokemon instantly when you then go back to watch Ash training with his newer Pokemon he actually kept. So, in my honest opinion, Primate definitely deserves this number 2 spot. However, what could possibly be more forgettable than a Pokemon that only had 2 episodes though? Well, you'll see. And here we are at the number 1 spot, which we actually have 2 Pokemon for. I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to think of who those 2 Pokemon could possibly be. Starting now. Time's up! The answer is Raticate and Beedrill. Congratulations if you remembered. If not, well, I don't blame you. The backstory behind Ash owning a Raticate debuts all the way back to the episode titled Battle Aboard the SS Anne, where Ash successfully defeats an old man's Raticate in a battle using his Butterfree, and then the old man requests that he trades his Butterfree for his Raticate, which Ash accepted. But then he never used the Raticate in battle, as not even 5 minutes go by and Ash immediately regrets trading Butterfree to the man, because, you know, it's his first ever capture and he loved the Pokemon a lot. Aww, but you then go release Butterfree anyway. I mean, obviously we know why Ash did that though. It was so Butterfree could get that pink butter puss. As for Beedrill though, Ash caught Beedrill in a bug catching contest in the episode titled The Bug Stops Here, then going on to win the actual competition with this capture. However, Ash then chose to give Beedrill to his rival and friend Casey, because of her love of yellow and black striped Pokemon. Also then seeing Casey with her Beedrill occasionally for the rest of the series, and even in Pokemon Chronicles. So, yeah. Essentially, both of these Pokemon on the list are Pokemon Ash never used in battle, no Pokemon we never got to see personalities burst out from. Except maybe Beedrill a little bit. So, it's very understandable of why we would forget Ash caught these Pokemon. In fact, I may even be missing a few other Pokemon. There's been 1000 plus episodes, so you never know if Ash may have caught another Pokemon before that he ended up giving away to, or just simply released them back in the wild. In fact, I'm 80% sure I missed out on a few other Pokemon. But for now, I at least remembered Raticate and Beedrill to include on this list, so you can truly understand that these are the most forgettable Ash Ketchum Pokemon. And that concludes the list. Do you agree with my list, or do you disagree, thinking another Pokemon should have been present instead of another? If so, let me know that Pokemon in the comments down below. I'd love to hear. If you did enjoy this overall video though, then do please be sure to consider leaving a like, a share, and if you're new here, a subscribe along with hitting that bell icon to stay in loop with all things Pokemon anime related. If you want to support this channel in any further way, I also have a Patreon. Link in the description below. Thank you for watching everybody. This is Untitled Chapter, signing out.